here with Faith Schwartz, founder and CEO of Housing Finance Strategies. Faith has been in the industry for a long time, and she has managed some big projects, complex topics, and has navigated her career to a point where she's started her own business. So today we're going to talk about the secret of her success and what motivated her to go out on her own. Welcome, Faith.
Thank you, Marcia. So great to be here.
Before we start, I have to thank you for your unwavering support of mPower since the beginning. You not only attended the events, but you chat in the community, and you've always been so supportive, and that means a lot to me and a lot to the MBA.
Well, thank you, Marcia. I think what you've done with mPower is amazing, and being inclusive to the women in our industry at all levels who are attracted to come together and network. I mean, what more can we do or say? And I think you've really spearheaded an amazing journey for a lot of women. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate your involvement. So let's get started. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey, because I know it's been an interesting one, and then what prompted you to start your own company?
Sure. Well, you know, that's a lot for someone who's been in the 30 plus years of the mortgage business. But so I joined a mortgage company, a bank-owned mortgage company, right out of business school. I had my MBA, knocked on a door, and got hired. And it was a Dominion Bank Shares Mortgage. It was a subsidiary of Dominion Bank in Roanoke. What was great about that is there were great leaders there. So I, for 10 years, worked for a company where I started out doing the secondary marketing reporting and pooling and servicing, ran a little department there to, leading the capital markets effort, trading securities, pricing the loans, working with the branches, and then buying loans from other banks across the country and really creating a big production team. So that was a great first run, and I learned so much from good people. And one of my customers hired me to then be an entrepreneur and a COO of a company, Kevin Ryan, TMC Mortgage. And I did that for 4 years, and then we sold the company. And so I was a bit of an entrepreneur a few times, and then I went back to the corporate world at Freddie Mac, where we met.
Yes.
And at Freddie Mac, I led a project of understanding the alternative markets, which subprime, Alt-A, A-, and that was way back when.
Complex stuff.
We studied, we looked at the structured markets, we got to know all the counterparties, and we learned how those loans were sourced. And again, that was in the 90s. So that takes you back a little bit, but I had a great experience at Freddie Mac because it was so corporate. It was the secondary market giant, so professional. And I learned a lot at Freddie Mac for 5 years, almost 5 years. Dial forward, because I was part of the Housing Policy Council and I was at H&R Block Option One at the time in Washington, the crisis was looming. And I knew a lot about alt markets, prime and subprime, and what was happening. And I was asked by Steve Bartlett and John Dalton if I would come spearhead this short-term project, Hope Now, which Hank Paulson from the Treasury and Ben Bernanke and HUD all wanted the industry to do more. We pulled together an alliance, and I joined quickly and had to raise money to pay myself, build a little budget, hire some people, and work with the bankers, the government, the nonprofits, Wall Street, to find ways to mitigate foreclosure and stop that big recession in 2007, impact on borrowers. And I'll talk a little later on about what that meant to me and how I think about things now, but that was a really transformational time, and I did that for 5 years. And we got through a very dark time in our industry, but it was a great experience, and having grown up in the business, that was a way for me to give back, but also feel like I understood all the complex issues that were coming from capital markets, from consumer side, et cetera. Long story short, I went to CoreLogic after that, and part of that thinking was I could serve the government more data so they'd have a better understanding of systemic risk. CoreLogic has great data assets. Mm-hmm. After a while, leading both their government solutions and their public affairs office there and creating one for them and helping them with their branding, I really missed the mortgage business. And I thought, well, I've had a great career. I've done a lot of fun things. I think I'm going to hang a shingle. I'm going to resign from CoreLogic, and I did. And they were my first customer back as an advisor to them, among others. So that's a little bit of my journey.
Wow. Well, it sounds like throughout your career, there were times you had to start up and figure out how to raise money. So you had experience in that, but how do you overcome the uncertainty of going out on your own and hanging out your own shingle? What gave you the confidence to do that?
Well, that's a great question, Marcia. I think all of us who are longtime career professionals are working towards something, whatever that looks like. This is a chapter for me of what do I want to do? What's exciting? How can I help the industry move forward? And how can I make a difference? And so by hanging a shingle and thinking that through, I started feeling I could give back. And I had people who knew me from my history, my integrity, my authenticity, my collegial nature of working with a lot of the people that I'm working with today in different companies. I had someone call me who used to work at Freddie Mac during the Great Crisis and appreciated how we worked together for 3 years while he was still there, and asked me to advise their firm. So, I do think our history helps us move forward. And so I also would say I'm married, and, I had less worry about benefits and things like that. So in case I needed a safety net. But I think it's about your history, your knowledge, and how you can structure it to help people in your networks. So it wasn't that hard.
Well, I'm telling you, you're doing gangbusters, so congratulations on how well your business is doing. What advice would you give the women who are watching who might be a little concerned about taking a risk or making a career change? Because you made some big career leaps during your tenure. So what advice would you give them?
Well, first, I know I can speak from my experience. Part of my changes were Washington, D.C. I knew I didn't want to move from this area. But all the jobs and companies were starting to flee the area. So you could work at Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. You could learn about government policy, which I did. So I married business and policy together so that I have a better sense of things. And you have to reinvent yourself for me. For career women who are thinking of going out on their own, what is your strength? For me, it's probably working hard to be authentic and bringing disparate people together into groups and helping come to terms and leading things forward. That's a sweet spot for me. I've enjoyed doing it, and I like to do it to solve problems. Whatever that is, if it's great reporting, if it's knowing a lot about a CFPB and doing a 5 tips from the CFPB, hone in on what your best expertise is. Share with your peers a lot. I'm a sharer, always have been. Take a lot of input from others before you do it, and then serve others, even your bosses. And I feel like that confidence starts to build on what you could do on your own because people look up to you or they will work closely with you on things and you don't have a big agenda. And so for young women thinking about how to go out on their own, I think there's a lot of opportunity. And a long, good career, your career follows you. So how you are in your workplace is going to be important to how you're perceived to be affiliated with the next company, your brand. You know that, Marcia. You've done a great job with it yourself. And you've reinvented yourself a few times too, so you can relate, I'm sure, to what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, if you don't like what you're doing, don't do it. Be authentic. Bring your best self to work. And think of how you can be unique to your organization to add value. And I think those skill sets is what you need to kind of make that leap and surround yourself with good people like I did with Dana Dillard and others to help bring our business forward.
Well, and I think the amazing thing that you talked about a little earlier, which is so important and we try to emphasize in the mPower community, the importance of your network. You have done an amazing job of building a network that's diverse and staying in touch with all the people that you have worked with along the way, and that's all come together in this nice sweet spot that you have where you can really be a connector.
I do think you have to find something you like about most people you work with. There are very few people I work with that I don't like, that I haven't found a reason to like them. And I think not taking things personally, that's hard. It probably took me decades, right? But not taking it personally and kind of being with grace, handling how you do it, and then reset next time you see that person. It's amazing what that can do. I think you kind of figure out how to work with everyone.
Yes.
So that's a little skill too, I think. And I work at it hard, you know.
Well, you're very good at it. And you're very well known in the industry, which means
Marcia.
everybody likes working with you.
Thank you.
What was your big aha moment in your career? Do you have one? Or maybe more than one?
Well, I have have a couple. I think when I worked at Freddie Mac and I helped them develop an anti-predatory lending campaign, and I spoke for them across the country, was on a lot of panels, I felt the power of a big institution and shaping the market, whether it was getting rid of credit life insurance, eliminating 5-year prepayment penalties. That's what we did at Freddie Mac to kind of shift the landscape. It was powerful, and it was also humbling. It's like, wow, Freddie Mac is a huge institution, and people listen to Freddie Mac. They make a difference. So then at Hope Now, when I ran that, I had to really, on a leap of faith, get people to kind of buy in and keep it simple, but march together. CEOs, staff, Congress, mad at everyone, advocates just not trusting the banks, employees not happy. I mean, it was a very dark time, and I thought that was such a shaping time for me to say, you know, we can power through this. We're going to do this together. We're going to listen to everyone. We're going to come to kind of 5 basic premises, and we're going to move forward and save people from foreclosure. That will resonate with me forever. And I think about the consumer on everything I do. And I'm a business person, so it's not like I'm not a capitalist. But if you can take care of your consumer, I think it's amazing what you can do. So that's my big aha, that more people need to think that way.
That's a good aha.
Thanks.
I have one final question
Yes.
for you. You've been in the industry and have had this very successful career. What do you wish you knew back when you were 25 years old? So what advice would you give 25-year-old Faith?
Well, I probably would be a better listener. I'm a much better manager today than I was at 25. I was managing a lot of people at 25. And so I think looking at the formal and informal leadership structures, understanding the acumen of an institution, even at Freddie Mac when I got there, I came from the industry. I already knew my way around the industry, but I didn't know my way around inside of Freddie Mac. That took me at least a year to acclimate and almost not stumble out of there because I didn't quite understand how it ran and what the power structures were, what the hierarchies were. So humbling, enjoyed it after all that, but at the end of the day, I'm reminded you have to be thoughtful, understand what your environment is, and then work to connect with the people in it at where they are, kind of understand and adapt. And I think I've gotten better at that. So that's my observation. So.
Well, Faith, you have given us such great insights
Thank you.
some great tips. So thank you for taking the time
Welcome.
today to spend a little time with us and
Thanks,
share your wisdom.
Marcia. Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.